and the gutter gives way, and I fall and just wham! I had like bruises and shit like everywhere from the bricks, and all of a sudden it was kind of going out. And I was like, oh no! Dude, this close is just dying.
There's got to be some Karen frustrated with some pest, and you show up and she's just bitching the whole time.
There's plenty. It was the kind of lady that she probably has a gun. The last thing she wants is somebody else to find out that her boyfriend is cheating on her upstairs when he's supposed to be at work. Found by the bug guy.
Talking about customers, we're going to see customers.
Yep.
And do jobs at their homes or businesses. The first one that people got to hear about is you saw the thumbnail on the first video, right?
I remember seeing it, but I can't remember what it was.
You remember where the guy was? Or he was on top of a roof?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into that story. And I do kind of remember it.
So the falling off the roof story?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so when I was starting out working, initially it was just for regular pest control. And then a guy was just throwing this temper tantrum and stuff, right? So I went and decided to basically volunteer myself for the animal control side, right? So getting rid of raccoons, squirrels, all of that. We got a raccoon story that we can talk about too. But basically we set up the traps and seal up holes, all that. Now, granted, I was 21, so bear with me on this one, because when you're 21, you're stupid and you just kind of do things. So this was really nice house off of like Grand, right? And it wasn't too high or anything like that, but put my ladder up, go up onto the roof, and it had just gotten done raining. Not really supposed to be on the roof after it's done raining, but I had pretty decent traction. It was fine. Got up onto the roof, went up, looked, and there was this big old hole, right? And I just needed to seal it up. That was all I was there for. Is I just needed to seal up this stupid hole, and then I can move on with my day. Problem was I couldn't reach. So, see, the roof, it wasn't like super angled, but it was angled enough where this wasn't like the smartest idea in the world, but they had like a little flat section. So what I did was I had another like telescope ladder, and I put that also on the roof, and I angled it so that it was flat and it could hold, right? I went on to like the second step, jumped a little bit, and I was like, all right, I'm good. So I climbed up, reached up, sealed up the hole, and all of a sudden I just kind of felt the roof kind of move away, and for some reason I just couldn't reach that hole anymore. And then I was just falling. And the ladder just moved slightly, and it just started falling down, and then I was falling, and then I went to, and it was like just gripping because I'm like a story and a half up. And as it falls, I go and I grab the gutter, and it yanks back. And under me is just pure brick. And the gutter gives way, and I fall and just wham. For just face first into the brick. And I'm sure I might have like blacked out for like maybe a minute or two, and I kind of get up and I'm a little woozy, and I'm like, oh shit, because then the gutter just is kind of like hanging. I was like, yep, I did that. And a dude that was like working or whatever comes up. He's like, hey, you okay? You okay? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. And I looked, I was like, shit. Because not only did I not seal the hole, I also just destroyed this gutter. So quick thinking, I was like, all right, maybe I can like mold this back into place where it'll look a little bit better and nobody will know. So I put the ladder back up and like my head's like throbbing a little bit, but I push it and I'm able to mangle it and it looks fine, right? For the most part. On the end, it's still like hanging a little bit. Well, like 20 minutes later, as I'm like cleaning stuff up and I'm looking at everything, I'm like, all right, yeah, it's fine. The owner comes out. He has not been home since I've started this job. Because I'd been here at this house like a couple times in the last week just seeing if we could catch some squirrels so they could stop drilling in there. He came out and we were kind of talking and he's like, yeah, these goddamn squirrels just won't leave this house alone. I just can't get rid of them. I was like, yeah, they did a number on your gutters. And he's like, what? And he looked up. He's like, no fucking way. And at the end, one of the gutters was kind of like laying out. I was like, yeah, I was just watching them going back and forth on here, and they just wearing away on that gutter. He's like, no way. Full on blame the squirrels from me. Destroying the gutter. And I'm like, yeah, I tried to do what I could to kind of fix those couple ends, but yeah, that part there is just too far gone. And I packed up my ladders and I got the fuck out of it. Yeah.
Did you ever patch the hole?
No, I never went back. So, yeah, no, that dude got screwed a little bit. But, I was 21. Not exactly the smartest thing I've ever done, but
was this towards the beginning, middle, or end of your pest control career?
Oh, it was definitely the beginning. It was definitely the beginning, and I messed that up good. And then I called my boss. I was like, initially after I fell, I was like, dude, I fell off the roof. And he's like, why the fuck are you on a roof? I was like, because I was scheduled to do this, so I was doing it. He's like, no. It just got done raining. Why the fuck are you on a roof? It's slick. Right. And I was like, I don't know. It was a flat-ish roof and whatever. He's like, you fine? I was like, yeah, but I think I fucked up this gutter. But I think I can kind of manangle it. He's like, as soon as you do that, get to the shop. Yeah, I went back to the shop and like this whole like part of my forehead is just fucking super red. He's like, you got a concussion, huh? I was like, nah, I'm fine. He's like, you drove, huh? Right? Because from where I was all the way to the shop was like 50 minutes. Probably shouldn't have been driving. And I did a job in the middle before I came to the shop. So he wasn't happy about that either. And that we'll get into the second portion of this. And yeah, I had to talk to like the nurse, the workman's comp thing and all that. And then he sent me straight home. He's like, go home.
And he was pissed or what?
Oh, he was pissed, but he was happy that I got the job done. He's like one of those army guys where it's like, don't get hurt, but if you get hurt, just say something and then go home type of thing. But he was happy that I got the jobs done, and then so that he could send me home. And by the time I got home, like the adrenaline was gone, right? From being fucking terrified. One, of destroying gutters. The other thing that happened, and falling off a roof. But all the adrenaline was gone. Like my head was throbbing. My hands and stuff were like all cut up. And I didn't realize it from the gutter. I had like bruises and shit like everywhere from the bricks. That weekend I laid on the couch and I didn't do anything. And then I think I called in even like that the following Monday, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not coming in. I was messed up.
Is that like the worst pain you've ever been in, when you hit your head on the or falling on the brick?
Well, dude, I didn't even feel it, like, pain-wise, right? I could kind of feel, like, the throbbing a little bit, but it was fine. I mean, it was adrenaline, right? The adrenaline was full-on kicking in and stuff, so, no, I was fine. As far as pain-wise, no. Maybe this isn't, like, the story for this, but I I had applied once for like a moving company job when I was like 19, right?
Okay.
And it was for a 2 men in a truck. I don't know if I've told you this story.
I don't think so.
So, so I applied because it was good money. It was $20 an hour when like minimum wage back then was like $9, right? I was making like $14 an hour or whatnot, and it's like, all right, I can go and like move some stuff for $20 an hour. I'm 19. Sign me up, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, wait. Everything is good, but before we give anybody a job, we set you up with like this boot camp. Essentially, it's 1 day. As long as you do like these couple tests and whatnot, you got the job. And basically, it's like a extreme workout thing of just like lifting and carrying stuff, and for like 5 hours it was like the most painful, stupid workouts in the entire world. I mean, like those big ass filing cabinets, we were lifting those, and then you ever see like those old like milk kettle things like that they used to do for like
oh yeah,
but like with the rounded shape. So you had to grip them, but you had to grip the tops with like the tops of your like fingertips, and you had to walk around this whole like basically your house
okay
3 times and then stop.
Fuck that.
And I was doing it, and like my hands were like cramping and shit like that. And he's like, all right, break time. And he's like, all right, we got 4 more hours of this. And like I sat in my car, I was like, you know what, I really don't give a fuck. And I drove off. I got home, and dude, I literally laid down on the couch, and I was just in pain. I could not move for 2 days. It was
How soon until you got a new job after that?
Well, I was still working like with my dad and stuff. I was just like looking into this as like, because it was paying a whole lot more. But yeah, no, it was like, yeah, no, I'll stay where I'm at. I'm good. But yeah, no, I was in like really fucking good shape when I was 18, 19 and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
A lot of people experience pain at some point in their professional career.
Yeah.
At least you didn't burn your hand. Cooking fries. But anyways, what about that raccoon story?
So the raccoon story takes place right in the middle of that last story. So, not too far from where we are, actually. There was a mommy raccoon that we didn't know was a mom. Just this raccoon just kept getting into this house, and every night she would come back and just scratch the crap out of things, and so the owner could hear it. And I went on top of the roof, and they're in like their chimney kind of area. It's like a fake chimney. The whole thing was just tore apart, where she was kind of getting in and out, and whatnot. But whenever I went into their attic, I just couldn't find anything. I could find evidence of like droppings and stuff like that, but like there was no clear path of why she was there, where she was nesting, nothing. For some reason, couldn't figure it out. So we put traps out with like their food and all that. And it took a few days because like rodents and animals have to get used to something in their surroundings before they'll trust it and then to go after it. Even trash pandas. And for some reason, she just wasn't going to this trap. So it was either she was really smart or she just wasn't going towards that area for any reason, right? Well, after doing a little bit of digging and I sealed off that area, I got a call that there's just so much noise because she can't get out, so I trapped her inside the house and something's going on. So I was like, well, what's probably happening is I trapped her inside, she can't get out, she's mad, And now I have to like coax her into either this trap or to get out of the house, and then she'll just be gone, right? And technically, with the Minnesota DNR, any animal that you're trying to do to capture or whatever, you can't just shoo them out of a house. Technically, you have to catch them and then report it to the DNR, and you're supposed to euthanize all of them, which is super awesome. Because they've already been inside a house and they're just going to keep doing it. It's the same with squirrels and all that. But this is a mama raccoon. I'm not dealing with that. I was just trying to get her out, right? Yeah. So I went up. I had a broomstick. I had gloves and everything, right? And I went up and I was walking on the rafters and I could hear the growling. I was like, all right, yep, she's up here.
Here we go.
I turn on my light so I can kind of see where I'm going, and I look, and not only is it her, but she also has like a bunch of babies right behind her. So I'm up there with a fucking broomstick and a mama raccoon trying to protect her babies. So already it's a no-win, right? But she's got to get out. So I backed off and I opened up that little hole that I had just patched up, because it's like either she's going to come towards me or she's going to find her way to get out, right? And I went up there and she's growling and like basically roaring at me, and I'm just kind of like slapping near her, trying to just coax her out, just leave. The problem was eventually she left after being all like pissy and everything else, but she left all her babies, and so we eventually had to get rid of the babies, which was not my favorite day in the world, because you have to gas chamber stuff or you drown it. Apparently from Minnesota DNR, that's the only humane way to get rid of wild animals. You can't do anything else. You either have to drown them or put them in a gas chamber. So, yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that was a thing. Okay.
Yep, so we had like a gas chamber and whatnot in our shop. And, yeah. And
so, like, you just put them in a bag and brought them to the shop? Or
well, you keep them in, like, the trap. And you put the trap down into the thing, and they basically go to sleep. And the problem is like ours wasn't great because it had like little leaks that the gas could come out, so it wasn't fully sealed. So you could do it for a while, then you come back and you undo it, and they're still kind of like breathing a little bit because they're asleep, but they haven't fully died yet. So then you just like fuck, and then you have to close it, and then you have to turn it back on.
Oh
yeah. One time,
oh boy,
I did it with a squirrel, and so did the gas chamber, did it for a while, right? Let it go, dude. I let that thing go for 15 minutes, and it looked like it was dead, right? I still have to use these traps, so I undid the trap, put it in a bag, and I put it in the freezer. Right, because there's like a little freezer, and then the DNR comes, picks it up, and then they get rid of all the bodies, right? The fucking thing wasn't dead. Apparently, after like 5-ish minutes or whatever after I left, the squirrel was going nuts in the bag and in the freezer, trying to like force its way to get out. And it scared the crap out of our branch manager, who is basically a glorified salesman. All he did was sit in the office and twiddle his thumbs all day. He doesn't know anything about pest control work. Never worked a day in his life, basically, type of guy. And apparently it scared the shit out of him, and he left for the day because he didn't want to deal with it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. But yeah, I mean, eventually it froze to death. But I didn't go back for it. I didn't want to deal with that. So, but yeah.
So going on the theme, any other stories you have where you were in pain because of a job you went on? Any times you were like stung by bees or wasps or bit by any kind of bug or
So I'd never been stung by a bee my entire life until this moment. And this was about the worst moment you could get stung by a bee. So wasps, like paper wasps and whatnot, they'll just kind of go onto your roofs and shingles and stuff like that, right? And they'll just kind of hang out. You knock them down, it's all done. But if you have like a little bit of hole within like where your roof and house meet or whatnot, they can basically go in there and build a whole nest, and they'll be fine, right? Winter will eventually kill them, but they can kind of dig down and they'll be inside your wall and eventually can come out, all that stuff, right? Well, I had to pull out my 30-foot ladder because over this overarching doorway that's super fucking high in the air goes to this little peak, right? And in this little peak was like this little tiny hole, right? So I climb up the ladder, and inside there is just this gigantic hive. I had no way of escaping, no way of getting out, nothing. But I had this like basically smoke, like dust, to put in that hole and just kind of squeeze it and whatnot to kind of fill that whole gap to kill everything. When I did that, my thumb and whatnot was kind of right there and instantly stung. First time getting stung. All right, hurt like a bitch, but it was kind of whatever. Well, then a couple more kind of came out, and I kind of like backed away a little bit because they just kind of swarmed out. Well, when I did that, so did the ladder. Because it wasn't like secured down, and you were doing all these jobs and you're doing by yourself. And all of a sudden, it was kind of going out. And I was like, oh, no. Dude, this close is just dying. So that was bad. Dude, there's a reason that it's always the young people working these kind of jobs, because young people are just do these stupid stuff. Like there was one job, I was up in Lake Elmo, and the roofs were kind of pushed apart a little bit, and I couldn't get my ladder to the side that I needed to because it was all like kind of gated in and it was pushed away, and they had like all this shit right there. So I had to go on one side of the roof, climb up, go on top, work my way around, and then I had to jump to the other side. At 29, almost 30 years old, there's no way in hell I would have ever done it again. Ever. This is easily, you have to be 20 years old, needing the paycheck, and saying, fuck it, what's the worst that's going to happen? To do what I did, of literally jumping to the other side of a roof. Because it's slanted, right? One false step, I'm going down. There's no gutter.
How high up are you?
Dude, I was literally 40 feet. Easy. Easy. So, yeah, no, there was... Yeah, it's just stupid.
You need to come downtown and do some parkour.
Absolutely not.
After that. No. By the way, you're not almost 30.
Almost.
But that's a whole nother subject.
You are. You're closer to 30 than
I know
me.
I am. But you're not.
Close. I'm 9 months away.
So what about any Karens? There's got to be some Karen frustrated with some pest, and you show up and she's just bitching the whole time.
There's plenty. There's plenty. But here's the story you want. But
let's go.
And it's a little bit of a frustrating story because I didn't stay for the end. Because I knew how this end was going, and I did not want to be there for when it happens.
Okay.
I had been with Orca for a while, and even with doing like the wildlife stuff, I would still do the regular pest control, just spraying a little bit here and there. You would also spray the inside if they want to, a little dab here, a little dab there. It doesn't do anything. It's more in people's heads because you don't spray enough for it to really do anything. You just spray in a couple corners, right? Well, my thing, because I was new to going into other people's homes, right, is just, all right, doors closed, I'm just going to open them all up and whatever, spray and do my thing.
Oh, God, what was this lady doing?
Well, so this lady, she actually met me because when she was there, nobody answered. I called just to make sure. She's like, yeah, I'll be there in 2 minutes. And I was like, all right, yeah. Anybody else home that I need to know about, or can I just do my thing? No, you're good. Nobody should be home. My boyfriend's not here. He's at work. Perfect. So you already know where this story is going.
Yep.
But
who was the boyfriend with? What was
so
he doing?
I was spraying, doing my thing. I went upstairs, and all the doors are closed. She was like, hey, nobody's home. I'll just open everything up. So went, opened door 1, nothing, all good. Sprayed around. Door number 2, good. Sprayed around. Door number 3, he's there with another girl. I was like, oh shit. I closed the door. I went downstairs. I went out the front door and I left.
Did you tell your boss why you were leaving?
No, I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't say anything to her when I left. I didn't do the outside like I was supposed to. Nothing. I left.
And did this seem like the kind of lady that would raise hell if when she saw this?
It was the kind of lady that she probably has a gun somewhere. Nobody, and I was in Minneapolis, so no matter
you don't want
what.
to be in the line of sight.
Exactly.
You don't want to be anywhere near the line of sight.
The last thing she wants is somebody else to find out that her boyfriend is cheating on her upstairs when he's supposed to be at work. Found by the bug guy. So, it just wasn't gonna happen. You know, besides that, as far as like Karens go, most of them got all like pissy with like flies. And if you hire pest control for flies, then you're a moron. Because it's never going to get fixed, right? Flies.
Inside or outside?
It doesn't. It'll out inside. If they get inside and they're just being annoying, they're going to continue to be annoying because flies breed up to like 300 yards away. Mm-hmm. So if people have crap in their yard, they have dogs, whatever, there's going to be flies around. And that means flies are going to be inside. Especially if you're in Minneapolis, you're going to have a lot of flies. There's rats everywhere. Dogs are everywhere. It's just a thing that's going to happen. And so you go into a million houses, it's like, I still have flies. You're going to keep having flies. I'll keep spraying because that's just, you're going to be paying for this.
Yeah.
But you will always have flies. It's just the name of the game.
Will it at least help?
No.
Like, not even for a day?
No. The most that it will do is if a fly lands on that, it might kill that fly.
So you would recommend no one ever call for flies?
No.
Especially if you live in a real urban area.
You find the reason that they're there. If you find the reason that they're there, you get rid of it, and you're done. I mean, that's spraying for flies doesn't do anything. Absolutely nothing.
No.
You just get rid of the reason. Yeah, because they have such a short lifespan anyway. The one that I just killed probably was going to die in 12 hours as it was. So, yeah.
Any Karens on like in like Minnetonka area, Eden Prairie, rich areas for the people that don't know Minnesota?
Mostly like the mosquito ones. Because like, here's the thing. Spraying for mosquitoes helps, right? And in the rich areas, they have a lot of lakes, right? Because most of them live on lakes. Here's the problem. When you spray for mosquitoes, it lasts until it rains. Well, here, when we're not in the middle of a drought, it rains almost every other day, right? Or once a week, sometimes, especially during the summer. So if I spray and it rains, let's say later on that day or tomorrow, it's gone. You just paid $60 for a day without mosquitoes. Then they come right back, especially if you live right next to it. Well, they'll either call again or it's like, hey, you sprayed last month and it did nothing. They're like, yeah, because it rained.
Sorry.
Yeah. You know, I pick a better day where it's not going to rain for like a week, and you'll have less mosquitoes for like that week unless you're by a lake.
But you guys notice that like you get more calls in June for mosquitoes, and then like as the summer went on, you get less.
So
It's typically, mosquitoes. I mean, it's more noticeable up north that they
Yeah.
kind of go away.
from May till October, we spray every single month for mosquitoes. The thing is with mosquitoes here in Minnesota, especially actually right here in White Bear, a little bit Matamidi, and then Vadnais, they take care of their own mosquitoes.
Like the city does some, or what?
Yeah, so if you ever hear like a plane or a helicopter
Oh.
getting really low, it's spraying pesticide
Oh, okay.
to get rid of mosquitoes. And it helps actually a lot. It does a whole lot more than any other pest control company does. But there's a lot of places here that will pay for that mosquito service because they don't know. They don't know why a helicopter's flying so damn low that it's basically causing chaos. Spraying pesticide. And if a lot of people knew that, they'd be real pissed too. Because people in pesticide, they go crazy even though it's mostly pretty safe. So,
Mostly.
mostly.
But yeah, I guess we won't get into that because that'll
that'll stir some stuff.
with some people. Any customers ever give you a tip or food for helping them out?
Like a couple times, I've gotten more tips and food working as a plumber than I ever did.
How many years did you do pest control?
Off and on for about 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
You just don't care.
no, and basically, we'll say about a year of plumbing. I've gotten significantly way more tips doing that than ever in pest control. Hell, I've had nicer experiences and extra tips doing like DoorDash and stuff than I ever did for pest control. And obviously with DoorDash they tip and stuff like that, but like there was one really bad, like the winter storm, where you're driving 30 miles an hour at the very most because it's just blackout conditions and stuff like that, and I got handed a $100 Target gift card for making that trip.
Wow.
It was insane. I kept working. I made like $500 that day.
Nice.
It's one of those things where DoorDash can be really good.
Okay, so let's get into cockroaches, like those kind of
Oh,
stories.
yeah.
Specifically, like I think you've told me one where like someone had them maybe under the fridge or wherever you see them, and like their place was trashed, and they're like, I don't know why they're here. And it's like, dude, because your place is trashed, your backyard, your grass is 2 feet tall.
Well, so where in Minnesota, cockroaches are a whole lot different than anywhere else, right? Like if you go to the southern states, East Coast, and whatnot, there's just cockroaches everywhere, right? They're in the woods, they come in, whatever. Here in Minnesota, it's too cold, right? We only get cockroaches in a couple ways. One, it's really just cardboard boxes, right? The other way is mostly in Minneapolis, in a lot of ethnic stores where they get their stuff shipped from warmer places. Cockroaches will hide in the seams of the boxes and lay eggs and all that. And then they'll get into stuff that you bring home, or unfortunately Chinese food, like that all use like those cardboard little
boxes that like you get fried rice in or something.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So what I always recommend to people and what I do is I open that stuff in the middle of my sink just in case, because then because I have gotten a cockroach even on my own stuff. Just randomly we found one at my place. and we get cardboard boxes all the time. You get a lot of cardboard boxes.
I have a room upstairs with a lot of them in there. I'm a little worried.
And that room gets warm, and they love that.
Oh, even better.
But yeah, that's how we get them in Minnesota. So I'll tell this quick story here before we get into the gross stuff. I felt really bad because these people had just moved in to this Minneapolis duplex, right? Or it's more of a townhouse, where their neighbor has awful cockroaches because they just bring a whole lot of just crap in. They're dirty, gross, they don't clean, and these other people, as clean as possible. their townhouse literally smelled like bleach because that's how much they were cleaning. God. Because they just could not deal with these cockroaches and stuff. And the most I could do was place bait, spray some stuff, and I sprayed the crap out of their kitchen and stuff, and place bait everywhere. But it's like that's all I can really do, because unless all of the cockroaches come all the way over here and kill them, it's really not going to do anything, because your neighbors just won't clean and have service or anything like that for themselves. So you're kind of screwed. So that is one of those where it's like, do what I can, but unfortunately it's not your fault that you have this issue. It's because of your neighbors, but nothing I can really do for you. Besides minimize it.
Yeah, right.
They won't get into your bedroom, but they'll be in your kitchen type of thing. So that always sucked. But there was plenty of them where it's like, yeah, I don't know why I have these cockroaches, but they won't go away, and it's just stuff is just everywhere. And after people have had people over for a while, whether it's plumbers or pest control, they just kind of stop caring and will stop cleaning in anticipation for people to come over,
Yeah.
And dishes are piled high in the sink, and with food from 2 days ago, and you can tell it's from 2 days ago because it looks real old and gross, and it's this is why. If you cleaned up after yourself, if you actually made an effort and bleached or anything, even a little bit, you wouldn't have cockroaches. They'd all die because there's nothing else for them to be there for. It's you don't really need to be paying $400 for a cockroach treatment. That's not going to do anything. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Cockroaches were always gross. I never dealt with rats. I wouldn't do it. Refused to do it.
You mean you wouldn't pick them up?
I wouldn't pick them up, but I also wouldn't set the traps and stuff, because if I set the traps, I have to go back and do it. I refused. It just wasn't happening. I don't.
You told your boss that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was as long as I don't deal with rats, we're good. I won't do it. Absolutely gross. I went to one rat job. Never again. Never again.
So you don't have a problem with raccoons, but rats.
No, rats are just disgusting. Just disgusting. This part may or may not probably should get cut out. But,
okay.
There is a very, very expensive restaurant in the heart of downtown Minneapolis where it's legitimately $50 to $100 a plate for the food. They have the worst cockroach problem in all of Minnesota. Cannot get rid of them. They have served cockroaches in the plates of food before.
Oh my God.
They don't clean as well as they should, and there will be droppings and stuff in the plates, and then they'll put food on top. Dude, it's one of the most high end in downtown Minneapolis. Right? It's not just on the outskirts. No, it's right in the heart of downtown. And it's always packed. always.
Oh my god.
And then they have mice and stuff like that too. But yeah, no, they have real bad.
Yeah, join Discord to find out the actual restaurant. But yeah, I guess we'll leave it unnamed.
Yeah.
But it's a very high end one.
Oh yeah. The other thing that we could talk about a little bit is MOA.
Well, that's just what I was going to bring up. Maybe MOA, and then we'll talk about. You work in any other big buildings downtown?
In downtown, I mostly worked on the side of towns that my skin color probably shouldn't be anymore. Put it that way. And most of them, it's rats and cockroaches. So once the rats got involved, I said I wasn't doing it anymore. Cockroaches, whatever. Mice, whatever. That's not a big deal.
Okay, so MOA.
MOA.
Maybe you could give us, like, when were you there approximately? Was this one day? Was this a few weeks? Like, what?
MOA has service, and it's so bad at MOA, you have to be there weekly. Because that's how bad it is. So,
Mall of America, by the way, this is like the biggest mall in the country. So,
yeah, they so
for context,
mice, just ridiculous. They have thousands upon thousands of mice at all times. Where Sears used to be was one of the worst spots in the entire world. Like we had 150 traps just in that area, and weekly filled with either they ate all the bait or the little snap traps and stuff like that. They're all set off, and half of them would be caught, or they chewed their arms off and then ran away, whatever. Yeah, mice will do that.
Oh my god.
Also, like sticky boards and stuff like that, I never recommend having them because they will like bite their legs off and stuff to get off. And,
this I remember you saying. Yeah.
But yeah, and half of the places in the food court, like the really nice food courts and stuff, cockroaches and mice. The entire MOA.
So, like, give us an idea, like, when you get a call, like, where do you even start then? Is it a specific restaurant or fast food calling, or is it just we're Mall of America?
No,
so figure it out.
So each store is responsible for their own pest control.
Okay.
MOA doesn't do anything.
Okay.
At all. Because, I mean, they got rats in their parking garages and all that. They don't do anything with anything. They have tunnels everywhere below MOA. There's tunnels that go everywhere. They don't touch them and stuff. And so they have mice galore and stuff. But MOA itself doesn't do anything. It's the stores are responsible. So, and all the stores have different stuff because they all go with the cheapest. And usually if you go with the cheapest, then if you call, nobody's coming. So you just have to wait till you schedule an appointment.
So give us an idea, like the first time you went to MOA to do pest control.
Yeah.
Did you think it was going to be as bad as what it was?
To be honest, I didn't really think about it. And it makes sense that mice would be really bad at MOA. Food everywhere, people just throw trash everywhere.
Yeah.
For some reason, it never clicked. And then I went with a guy because he knew where all the traps were, just kind of showed me around. And we went to when Steers was still there. And we went through and looked at everything. And yeah, it's just traps and stuff just everywhere. And back then they were all 3 floors, and they had back alleyways and everything. Yeah, just everywhere. It was nuts. And the dude I was training with was kind of crazy because he would just go out and, like, if a mouse was stuck on like a glue board and was like still alive, he would throw it out and then he would jump on it. So yeah.
And to stick to his shoe.
Well, so
you would just hit it right.
So you would fold the glue board, right?
Oh,
so
and
you
step on it.
Yeah. Oh, he would stomp on it so that it would explode. The
What do you
mouse.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what? He'd have someone else clean it up, or he would?
Nah, just pick up the glue board, move on.
Oh.
The guts and stuff would still be there, but yeah. So that was just what he did apparently. IKEA across was actually not that bad. I figured IKEA would be bad because they have like the cafe and all that. They weren't too bad. MOA is real bad, real bad.
So is it like the lower you go in MOA, the worse it is, or is
higher,
it bad everywhere?
Higher you go, the worse.
Higher.
Because that's where all the food is. All the food's on the 3rd floor.
Okay, I was just thinking lower because you were saying the tunnels. That was like mice heaven.
I
guess
yeah, that's where they hide. Sure, but yeah, when they want food,
they go up top.
They know where to go. But yeah, MOA is real bad.
So, was there any restaurants you went into and like, I don't know, there was just like 20 mice on the ground?
Oh yeah, plenty.
You hardly had to look at some of these, and there was mice.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Here's a really disgusting story. There's this one place in Minneapolis, and it's like a ethnic, kind of like a grocery store to get like all that type of stuff. Kind of like what's that place off of Maryland that you'll go to with
Double Dragon?
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, but it's more Hispanic.
Yeah.
And the owners, super nice. Some of the nicest people in the entire world. But he's like, dude, I have these problems with the mice, and I just can't get rid of them. I was like, all right, let's go take a look. Let's see what you got. As soon as we walked in, I was like, no way. There's people shopping, up and down the aisles. It's like normal, like a grocery store, right? And there is mice everywhere, climbing up and down the shelves, going over all the product, going in like holes in like these rice like bags and stuff like that, and then coming out the other side. It looks like a pet store. No joke. And people are going up and down and shopping and doing their thing because they're kind of used to it at this point. It is so disgusting, and I would have to go there all the time to refill, because like the traps would get like all the bait be eaten in a day. No joke.
Oh my god, because it's that bad. Wow.
Well, it's that, but then it's also like they have shipments. The shipments also are bringing in mice, and then the mice are coming in because of the cold. And it's like it was a no-win situation, and they knew that, but it's just like you feel bad because they were actually like super nice people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just literally living in a pet store, essentially.
And you said this place is on Maryland?
No, this place was in Minneapolis. I'm sure it's not open anymore, but yeah, it was, dude, no joke. Like, if this was like mice crawling up, going over all your stuff.
Oh my god.
Just crawling in, like these bags that go in there, take a crap and then come right back out. Just everywhere.
How many mice do you think you've seen in your years of doing pest control?
Easily.
1 million?
I wouldn't say quite 1 million, but
100,000.
yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, dude, Minneapolis is bad. Bad. But that was kind of my specialty, though, was mice.
So, like, kind of back to MOA, you get a call, you just work on the one place, and then, you said you just do what you can.
Yeah,
set your traps, bait, whatever. And
do what you can. I mean, because, I'm not doing the whole mall, right?
Right.
So, if let's say I'm doing this place right here, right? And I set all my traps, and it's like, hey, that's about how I can. But if the store right next door is doing absolutely nothing, and let's say they're the reason, or what have you, and they're not doing anything, well, as soon as they get bored over here, they're coming right back.
How many different fast food places at the mall did you have jobs for in your time?
Just a couple.
Yeah.
Just a couple. And like most of them wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. Was Hooters one of them?
No. But I was a little depressed because one of the places that I used to really like to eat apparently has one of the worst cockroach problems, and I haven't been able to go back. And the food was.
Can you tell us where?
Well, it's at MOA, but it's on like the third floor. I can't remember the name, but it's kind of like you know when I got us food from that Yeehee place, like it was like rice and like the chicken and stuff. It's kind of like a place like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but their wontons, all that stuff were such a good place. I haven't been able to go back
Because it was that messy.
It's just
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other big buildings you might have been in downtown, St. Paul, Minneapolis?
I mean, I worked plenty of like the high rises and stuff with like the nice apartments and stuff.
Dude, some of those buildings are freaking tall.
Yeah.
Like 50 floors.
They all have mice, but
Oh my god.
you know,
What about in those buildings? Is the mice problem worse up top, below? I'm sure it depends on wherever the messy people are and the food is, but
right? It's mostly below unless the high rises are connected to the Skyway. Because the problem with the Skyway is that's all the homeless people will sleep in there and all that.
I know.
Yeah. So
I see them on the way to work.
Yeah. So they follow them, Plus in the Skyway, I mean, there's all the food courts and stuff like that there too. So most of them don't have anything, and the managers aren't taking care of it because it's like, hey, there's high traffic areas. Maybe they're bringing them in, type of thing. So yeah. So sometimes that middle will get kind of hit pretty good, but especially during like car show season, stuff like that, when there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah. Well, otherwise, is there any other pests or rodents we haven't hit on? We talked about a wasp story.
Yep.
Mice, rats, cockroaches.
Yeah, no, that's.
Oh, any good lice stories?
No. Not really.
You ever get a call for a job like a ways out of town?
Oh yeah, plenty of times, but
like a redneck.
Yeah, but like a lot of those, it's just like they know that they're gonna have problems, and it's the husband doesn't care and that you're there at all. It's the wife that cares because she doesn't want to deal with the mice or anything like that. So as long as you set the traps and whatever, and to them it's more peace of mind that it'll get taken care of, even though it's not.
Yeah. Any woodchucks?
No.
I don't think any other bugs we haven't.
No. I had this one like hedgehog or whatever. Not hedgehog. It was bigger. I can't think of exactly what it was. That I was trapping for, and I would see it, and it would see my traps and stuff, and he would never go near it. And then as soon as I took away my trap, he would go right back to that spot that he kept digging and stuff like that. So animals are smarter than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
Especially mice. So.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think we hit on it.
Just about every crazy customer.
Stories worth telling for the most part that I can think of.
All right. We'll end it there.